If you are just joining us, please subscribe, share and like this channel, and get locked to more romance stories. Continuation of the Afro-Korean nurse who saved the life of a Korean billionaire and triggered the war of mafia boss. The vault in Zurich was colder than death. Amaka's breath misted in the air as she stood before the steel door, both pendants clasped in her trembling hands. Minjae was on her left, pale and silent. Jinwoo on her right, jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. Behind them, the bank manager waited, an elderly Swiss man who had asked no questions when they'd presented the dual authentication. The lock requires both keys simultaneously, he'd explained in accented English. Your father was very thorough. Now, as Amaka inserted the first pendant into its slot, she felt the weight of everything that had led to this moment. The surgery that had saved Minjae's life. The attacks that had nearly ended hers. The revelations in Lagos that had rewritten her entire history. And the two men standing beside her, both willing to die for her, both hiding secrets that could destroy her. The first lock clicked open. She inserted the second pendant. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the vault door groaned, ancient mechanisms grinding to life, and slowly, so slowly, it swung open. Inside was darkness. And a single metal box. Jinwoo stepped forward, but Amaka caught his arm. Let me. She entered alone. The box was heavier than she expected. Inside were documents, yellowed with age, covered in her father's careful handwriting, photographs, transaction records, and a letter sealed with red wax addressed to her. Her hands shook as she broke the seal. My dearest Amaka, if you are reading this, then I am gone, and the truth I tried to bury has found you anyway. I am so sorry, my lionheart. I never wanted this burden to fall on your shoulders. But perhaps you are stronger than I ever was. The documents in this box prove that the Lee family built their empire on blood money from the Snake Syndicate, but that is only half the truth. The other half will break your heart. Jinwoo's father didn't just break away from the syndicate, he was murdered for it, by order of Lee Hyun-soo himself. Minjae's grandfather killed Jinwoo's father. And the woman who carried out the assassination. She's still alive. She's still hunting. And her name is... The letter ended there. Ripped. As if someone had torn away the last page. Amaka's blood turned to ice. She spun around. And found the bank manager pointing a gun at Minjae's head. No. Not the bank manager. The woman who had been wearing his face. A mask. She peeled it away slowly, revealing sharp features, silver hair and eyes like winter. Hello, Amaka, she said. Your father sends his regards. Oh wait, he can't because I killed him. Jinwoo moved, fast as lightning, but 3 more figures emerged from the shadows, guns trained on him. They'd walked into a trap. The syndicate has owned this bank for 30 years, the woman continued. Did you really think we wouldn't know the moment those pendants were used? Minjae's voice was steady despite the gun at his temple. Who are you? Don't you recognize me? The woman smiled. Look closer, little prince. She stepped into the light. And Minjae's face went white. Aunt Seoyeon. Amaka's mind reeled. Aunt. My father's sister, Minjae whispered. But you died in the car accident when I was 12. I faked my death, Seoyeon said, because your grandfather was getting sloppy, emotional, he wanted to leave the syndicate, can you believe it? Conscience finally caught up with him. She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. So I did what needed to be done. I took over, became the syndicate's true leader, and I've been cleaning up his mistakes ever since. Jinwoo's father, Amaka breathed. One of many. Seoyeon's eyes were cold. The man was a liability, a traitor. I put a bullet in his head myself. Jinwoo lunged. Gunfire exploded. But not at him. At the ceiling. The lights went out. In the darkness, chaos erupted. Amaka felt hands grab her, not rough but urgent, pulling her backward through a door she hadn't seen before. Move, a familiar voice hissed. Chief Okonkwo. He was here in Zurich. House. Later run. They burst into a service corridor, alarms screaming, emergency lights flashing red. Behind them, she could hear Seo-yeon shouting orders. "Find the girl, she has the documents." Amaka clutched the metal box to her chest as they ran. Chief Okonkwo was faster than a man his age should be, navigating the maze of corridors like he'd memorized them. "You knew this was a trap," Amaka gasped. "I suspected, that's why I followed you." "Where are Minjae and Jinwoo?" "If they're smart running, if they're stupid fighting." They crashed through a fire exit into the freezing Zurich night. A car was waiting, engine running, driver ready. But as they reached for the door, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Seo-yeon. Alone. Gun aimed directly at Amaka's heart. "You know what I admire about you," she said conversationally. "You fight, even when you're outmatched, even when you're terrified, just like your father." "Don't you dare speak about him." "Oh, I'll do more than speak." Seo-yeon's finger moved toward the trigger. "I'm going to send you to meet him." A gunshot rang out. But it wasn't Seo-yeon who fired. She staggered, blood blooming across her shoulder. Jinwoo stood 10 meters away, smoking pistol in hand. "You talk too much," he said. Seo-yeon smiled through the pain. "So do you, nephew." The word hung in the frozen air. "Nephew." Jinwoo's face went slack. "What?" "Your father was my half-brother," Seo-yeon said, backing away toward a waiting motorcycle. "Didn't he tell you, we shared the same mother, different fathers, same blood?" She swung onto the bike. "Which makes this a family reunion." The motorcycle roared to life. "See you soon, children. Next time I won't miss." She disappeared into the night, leaving Jinwoo standing frozen, his entire world rewritten in a single sentence. Amaka reached for him, but he pulled away. "Jinwoo. Don't," his voice was hollow. "Just don't." Minjae emerged from the bank, bleeding from a cut on his forehead but alive. "We need to go, now, the Swiss police are coming." They piled into Chief Okonkwo's car and sped into the night. Nobody spoke. Because they all knew the truth now. This wasn't just a war between two men and a criminal empire. This was a family destroying itself. And Amaka, the outsider, the nurse, the woman who had saved a life and started a revolution, was standing in the center of the blast radius. The safe house Chief Okonkwo had arranged was actually a shaite, old stone walls, hidden in the Swiss countryside, surrounded by snow-covered fields that gleamed like diamonds under the moonlight. Inside, a fire crackled in a massive stone fireplace. But nobody felt warm. Amaka sat on the floor, the metal box open before her, documents spread around her like pieces of a shattered mirror. Transaction records dating back 40 years. Photographs of Lee Hyun-soo shaking hands with known syndicate leaders. Bank statements showing millions laundered through shell companies. And at the bottom, a ledger. Names. Dozens of them. People the syndicate had killed to protect their empire. Amaka's father was number 37. Jinwoo's father was number 41. Her hands shook as she read. Minjae stood by the window, staring out at nothing. "My entire life is a lie," he said quietly. "Everything my family built, everything I thought I knew, all of it blood money." "You didn't know," Amaka said. "Does that matter?" His reflection in the window looked haunted. "How many people died so I could live in mansions, so I could go to the best schools, so I could build my precious tech empire? You're not your grandfather." "Aren't I?" He turned and his eyes were wet. "I benefited from his crimes. I'm still benefiting. Everyone in my account is stained." "Then change it," Jinwoo said from the shadows. "You have power, use it." "Like you use yours," Minnie's voice turned sharp, "by killing people." "I kill people who deserve it." "And who decides that? You. Better me than someone who pretends to be clean while drowning in blood." They were circling each other now, old wounds reopening. "Stop it," Amaka said. "Both of you, this is exactly what Seo-yeon wants. She wants us divided, broken, easy to pick off." "She's my aunt," Jinwoo said, the word tasting like poison. My father's half-sister, and she murdered him. She murdered my father too, Amaka replied, and my uncle, and dozens of others, so what are we going to do about it? Silence. Then Chief Okonkwo spoke from the doorway. We burn it all down. He entered carrying a laptop. I've been digging while you were having your crisis. Seoyeon isn't just the syndicate's leader. She's embedded in governments across 3 continents. She has leverage on presidents, generals, corporate titans. He opened files, surveillance photos, wire transfers, blackmail material. She's untouchable through conventional means. No court will touch her. No police force will arrest her. She owns them all. Then how do we stop her? Minjae asked. The chief smiled grimly. We do what your fathers tried to do. We expose everything, but not to the authorities, to the world. He pulled up a website, dark web, encrypted, used by whistleblowers and journalists. We leak every document, every name, every crime. We make it impossible to bury, and we do it simultaneously across every major media outlet on the planet. That's suicide, Jinwoo said. The moment we go public, we become targets for every organization in those files. We're already targets, Amaka pointed out. True, but this would be different. This would be war. Good, Minjae said, his voice suddenly hard. I'm tired of running, tired of hiding. If my family's legacy is built on corpses, then I'd rather tear it down myself than let it stand. He looked at Amaka. I'm in. Jinwoo was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. My father died trying to leave the syndicate. Maybe I can finish what he started. He looked at Amaka too. I'm in. All eyes turned to her. The nurse. The outsider. The woman whose father had started this all by witnessing something he shouldn't have. My father died for the truth, she said softly, and I'm not going to let his death mean nothing. She stood, documents clutched in her hands. Let's burn it all down. The preparation took 3 days. 3 days of coding, encrypting, coordinating with journalists across 5 continents. 3 days of watching Minjae dismantle the empire his grandfather had built, transferring assets to victims' funds, exposing shell companies, cutting ties with every corrupt official in his network. 3 days of watching Jinwoo reach out to old contacts, former allies, people who had survived the syndicate's purges and were hungry for revenge. And 3 days of Amaka organizing the documents, writing witness statements, preparing evidence packages that would be impossible to refute. They barely slept. Barely ate. The Shaita became a war room, walls covered in timelines and flowcharts and photographs of people who needed to pay for their crimes. On the 3rd night, as they finalized the upload protocols, Minjae found Amaka alone in the library. Can I talk to you? She looked up from her laptop. Of course. He sat beside her, closer than usual. When this is over, he said quietly, assuming we survive, what happens to us? Amaka's heart ached. I don't know. Do you love him? She didn't pretend to misunderstand. I don't know that either. But you feel something. I feel something for both of you. She met his eyes. Is that terrible? It's human, he took her hand. Amaka, I need you to know, whatever you choose, whatever happens, you saved my life, not just in that hospital, every day since. You made me want to be better. Minjae. I love you, he said simply. I know the timing is insane, I know we're about to start a war, but I needed to say it, at least once, while I still can. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Eyes. The door opened. Jinwoo stood there, face unreadable. It's time, he said, the uploads are ready. Minjae stood, squeezing Amaka's hand once before letting go. As he passed Jinwoo in the doorway, the 2 men locked eyes. Something unspoken passed between them. Not forgiveness, not friendship, but understanding. They were fighting the same war now. For different reasons. For the same woman. And only one of them would survive to see the end. The uploads went live at midnight. Simultaneously across 200 news outlets, 3,000 social media accounts, and every major dark web hub. Within minutes the internet exploded. Syndicate files trended worldwide. News anchors struggled to process the sheer scale of the revelations. Governments scrambled to issue denials. Corporate empires began to crumble in real time. And in a penthouse in Seoul, Seo-yeon watched the feeds with cold fury. "Find them," she said to the room full of operatives. "Find them and bring me their heads." "Ma'am, every intelligence agency in the world is looking for them now." "Then look harder," her voice was ice. "They just declared war on the most powerful criminal organization in history, and wars have casualties." She smiled. "Let's make sure they're among them." Back at the chateau, Amaka watched the news coverage with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. Her father's truth was out. Jinwoo's father was vindicated. Minjae's family's sins were exposed. "But the cost..." "We need to move," Chief Okonkwo said. "Every intelligence agency on Earth just saw those files. Some will want to help us. Most will want us dead." "Where do we go?" Amaka asked. "Somewhere Seo-yeon won't expect." "There's nowhere she won't look," Jinwoo said. The chief smiled. "Which is why we are going to the one place she can't follow." He pulled up a map. "A small island. Off the coast of Nigeria. My family's ancestral home," he explained. "No landing strip, no harbor, accessible only by boat, and protected by people who don't answer to any government." "You want us to hide?" Minjae asked. "I want you to survive long enough to testify." The chief's voice was firm. "The leaks are just the beginning. We need witnesses, living witnesses who can stand before the International Criminal Court and verify every document." "That could take months," Amaka said. "It will take years." The chief met her eyes. "But it's the only way to ensure the syndicate actually falls. Otherwise they'll just wait us out, kill us quietly, and rebuild." Jinwoo looked at Amaka. "Your choice." She thought of her father, her uncle, all the names in that ledger. "We go to the island," she said. "We finish this properly." The journey to Nigeria was a nightmare of connecting flights, false identities, and near misses with syndicate operatives who were clearly tracking them. Twice they had to abandon flights mid-route. Once, Jinwoo had to physically fight off an assassin in a Johannesburg hotel. Minjae used his remaining resources to create digital false trails, making it look like they were heading to South America when they were actually doubling back to West Africa. And through it all, Amaka felt the weight of eyes on her. Seo-yeon was out there, hunting, patient, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The boat to the island was a weathered fishing vessel, operated by a man who called Chief Okonkwo brother, and asked no questions about the 3 exhausted passengers huddled in the cabin. As they cut through the Atlantic waves, Amaka stood on the deck, salt spray stinging her face. Lagos was a smudge of light on the horizon behind them. Ahead, darkness. "Regrets," Jinwoo appeared beside her. "Thousands," she managed a tired smile. "You." "Only one." "What's that?" He turned to face her fully. "That I didn't meet you before all of this, when we were just people, not targets, not soldiers, just a man and a woman." Amaka's breath caught. "Would you have noticed me then?" "I notice you now." His voice was soft. "In the middle of war, with death chasing us, I notice everything about you." He reached out, tucking a strand of wind-whipped hair behind her ear. "The way you bite your lip when you're thinking, the way you stand between danger and the people you care about, the way you're strong even when you're terrified." "Jinwoo." "I know you have feelings for him too," he said. "Minjae, I'm not blind, and I'm not asking you to choose right now." "Then what are you asking?" "For a chance." His eyes were intense. "When this is over, when we're safe, give me a chance to show you who I am without the blood and the bullets. Let me be the man I could have been if the world had been kinder." Amaka felt tears sting her eyes. "You're already that man, you just don't see it yet." She kissed him. Not desperately, not with the frantic energy of people who might die tomorrow. But softly, gently, like a promise she wasn't sure she could keep but wanted to anyway. When they broke apart, Minjae was standing in the cabin doorway. He'd seen everything. For a moment, Amaka thought he would be angry. But instead he just looked sad and resigned. "We're almost there," he said quietly, and disappeared back inside. Jinwoo touched her cheek once more, then followed, leaving Amaka alone with the wind and the waves and the terrible certainty that someone's heart was going to break before this was over. Maybe all of theirs. The island was smaller than Amaka expected, a rocky outcrop covered in dense vegetation, with a single village of maybe 200 people who lived as their ancestors had for generations. No electricity. No internet. No connection to the modern world except the occasional supply boat. It was perfect. Chief Okonkwo's family welcomed them with warm food, clean water, and simple huts that felt like palaces after weeks of running. For the first time since Seoul, Amaka felt like she could breathe. The days fell into a rhythm. Mornings, they worked with lawyers via satellite phone, preparing testimony for the ICC. Afternoons, they helped the village, Amaka treating medical issues, Minnie teaching the children mathematics, Jinwoo using his tactical skills to improve the island's defenses. Evenings, they sat around fires, eating fish and listening to stories told in languages Amaka had almost forgotten. It was strange. Peace in the middle of war. But it couldn't last. It never did. 3 weeks into their stay, a boat arrived that wasn't scheduled. Sleek, fast, and carrying people who moved like soldiers. The village elder met them at the shore, while Amaka, Minjae, and Jinwoo watched from hiding. "We are looking for 3 fugitives," a woman's voice said. "Not Seoul, but close enough." "No fugitives here," the elder replied in accented English. "Only family." "We have intelligence suggesting." "Your intelligence is wrong." Tension crackled. Then the woman handed over a photograph. Amaka couldn't see it from her hiding spot, but she saw the elder's face change. "Hardened." "Leave," he said, "now, or my people will ensure you never leave." It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. The woman seemed to recognize this. She nodded slowly. "Tell Chief Okonkwo we'll be back with more boats, more men, and next time we won't ask permission." They departed. But the message was clear. The island wasn't safe anymore. That night they held a council. "We can't stay," Jinwoo said. "We're putting these people in danger." "We can't leave," Minjae countered. "The ICC hearings are in 2 months. If we run now, we lose everything we've built." "So we fight," Amaka said. Both men turned to her. "Fight. This island is defensible. The village has generations of knowledge about the tides, the reefs, the currents. We have warning systems. We have time to prepare." She stood. "Seoul wants us scared, running, divided, so let's stop running, let's make our stand here." "Amaka, these are villagers," Minjae said gently. "Fishermen, families, they're not soldiers." "Neither am I," she replied, "but I'm done being prey." Chief Okonkwo nodded slowly. "The girl speaks wisdom. My people have defended this island from pirates, slavers, and colonial forces for 300 years. We will not surrender it to criminals now." He looked at the village elder, who nodded agreement. "We fight." The next 2 weeks were chaos. They fortified the island's natural defenses, sharpening the reefs that surrounded it, setting traps in the shallows, establishing watch posts on the highest points. Jinwoo trained willing villagers in basic combat tactics. Minjae used his remaining tech resources to set up early warning systems, drones, motion sensors. Anything that would give them advance notice. And Amaka prepared a medical station, knowing injuries were inevitable. She tried not to think about how many of those injuries might be fatal. The attack came on a moonless night. 5 boats, 40 operatives, armed with automatic weapons and tactical gear. The syndicate wasn't playing anymore. The first warning came from a teenage boy in the North Watchtower, a shout that echoed across the island like a thunderclap. Amaka was in the medical hut when she heard it. Her blood turned to ice. Minnie burst through the door, They're here, stay inside, lock the doors. I'm a nurse, I go where I'm needed. Amaka, please, his voice cracked. I can't lose you. He kissed her, hard and desperate, then ran toward the shore. Seconds later, Jinwoo appeared. The boats are landing on the east beach. We're outnumbered 3-1. Then we need to be smarter. Amaka grabbed her medical bag. The reef traps, are they set? Yes, but... Then let them land. Let them think they have the advantage, and when they're committed... She met his eyes. We spring the trap. Understanding dawned on Jinwoo's face. You're terrifying, you know that. She managed a grim smile. I learned from the best. He kissed her forehead, gentler than Minjae but no less intense, and vanished into the darkness. Leaving Amaka alone with her supplies and her fear, and the sound of gunfire beginning to erupt across the island. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and prayed. The battle was brutal. The syndicate operatives were professional, trained killers who moved with precision and efficiency. But the islanders had home advantage. They knew every rock, every tree, every hidden path. And they fought with the fury of people defending their home. Amaka moved through the chaos, treating injuries. A bullet graze here, a shrapnel wound there, a broken bone from someone who'd fallen in the dark. She worked by candlelight, her hands steady despite her racing heart, her nursing training kicking in even as explosions rocked the island. Then she heard a scream. Not a villager. Minjae. She ran. Found him pinned behind a fallen palm tree, blood soaking his leg, 3 operatives closing in. Without thinking, Amaka grabbed a rock and threw it, striking one operative in the temple. He went down. The other 2 turned toward her. She had no weapons. No training. Just rage. You want me, she shouted. Come get me. They advanced. And then Jinwoo appeared from the shadows like a demon, taking them both down with brutal efficiency. He pulled Minjae to safety, and together they carried him to the medical hut. Bullets still in there, Amaka assessed, her hands already moving. I need to operate, now. We don't have anesthesia. I know, hold him down. What followed was something out of a nightmare. Amaka operating by candlelight while the battle raged outside, Jinwoo holding Minjae's shoulders as he screamed, her hands slick with blood as she dug out the bullet with tools meant for fishing, not surgery. But she did it. The bullet came free. The bleeding slowed. Minjae passed out from pain and blood loss, but he was alive. Thank you, Jinwoo breathed. Amaka looked at him, this dangerous, beautiful man who had saved them both countless times. We're not done yet. The battle turned when the reef traps activated. 2 of the 5 syndicate boats hit underwater mines, disguised as coral formations. The explosions lit up the night sky. Survivors tried to retreat, but the tides were against them, exactly as the islanders had planned. By dawn it was over. 20 syndicate operatives dead. 15 captured. 5 escaped in the remaining boats. The island had lost 3 villagers, fishermen who had fought like warriors. Amaka stood on the beach, covered in blood that wasn't hers, watching the sun rise over the Atlantic. They had won. But the victory felt hollow. Because she knew Seoul. And she knew this was just the beginning. The woman herself proved Amaka right 3 days later. A single helicopter appeared on the horizon, unarmed, flying a white flag. It landed on the island's small clearing, and one person emerged. Seoul. Alone. Unarmed. Smiling. I come to negotiate, she called out. Chief Okonkwo, Jinwoo, and a still recovering Minjae met her at gunpoint. You have nothing to negotiate with, the chief said. Don't I? Seoul looked completely at ease despite the weapons aimed at her head. Your little island rebellion has been cute, inspiring even, but ultimately pointless. She pulled out a tablet. While you've been playing war, I've been busy. Judges, prosecutors, key witnesses, all of them, convinced to see things differently. She showed them the screen. footage of ICC officials accepting bribes, recordings of lawyers withdrawing from the case, evidence of key documents being lost in bureaucratic red tape. The hearings are collapsing, she said simply. In 3 weeks the case against the syndicate will be dismissed for lack of credible evidence, and then… She smiled. Then I'll come back here with an army, and I'll erase this island from the map. You're bluffing, Minjae said. Am I? She turned to him. Tell me, nephew, how many bribes do you think it takes to make a small African island disappear, to convince the world it was just pirates, or rebels, or a tragic natural disaster? Her eyes were cold. I've done it before. Silence. But, she continued, I'm feeling generous, so here's my offer, give me Amaka, let me finish what I started with her father, and I'll let the rest of you live. Never, Jinwoo growled. I'm not talking to you, Seo-yeon's gaze fixed on Amaka, I'm talking to her. All eyes turned. Amaka stood at the edge of the clearing, the morning sun backlighting her like a warrior goddess. You want me, she said, her voice steady. You can have me. Amaka, no, Minjae started. On one condition, she continued, walking forward. You leave this island, these people, and you face me, alone, no guards, no backup, just you and me. Seo-yeon laughed. You want to fight me, a nurse against a trained assassin. I want to end this. Amaka stopped 3 feet away. You and me, one way or another, right now. The woman studied her. You have your father's eyes, that same stupid courage, she shrugged. Fine, but when I kill you, these people watch, so they understand what happens to those who defy the syndicate. She handed her gun to the helicopter pilot. Amaka turned to Jinwoo and Minjae. Don't interfere, no matter what happens. Amaka, promise me. Reluctantly, both men nodded. The 2 women faced each other in the center of the clearing. Any last words? Seo-yeon asked. Amaka smiled. My father once told me something. A lion doesn't concern itself with the opinion of sheep. Cute, but I'm not a sheep. No, Amaka's smile widened. You're a snake, and snakes. She moved. Faster than anyone expected. Years of dodging patients in crowded Lagos hospitals. Years of martial instincts her mother had trained into her as a girl. Years of watching, learning, preparing for this exact moment. She swept Seo-yeon's legs. The assassin went down, surprised but not helpless. They grappled, rolled, fought with a savagery that shocked everyone watching. Amaka wasn't trained, but she was desperate. And desperation made her dangerous. She got her hands around Seo-yeon's throat. This is for my father. But Seo-yeon was stronger, faster, more experienced. She reversed the hold, slamming Amaka into the ground. Brave, stupid, but brave. She pulled a hidden blade from her sleeve. Goodbye, little nurse. The blade descended. And Amaka smiled. Because she had counted on this. The blade struck, but not fleshy. The silver pendant around Amaka's neck, the one Jinwoo had given her, the one her father had worn, caught the blade. Deflected it. Gave Amaka the split second she needed to drive her knee into Seo-yeon's stomach. The assassin gasped. Amaka rolled away, grabbed a rock and brought it down. Once, twice, 3 times, until Seo-yeon stopped moving. Silence. Amaka stood, shaking, covered in blood, the rock still in her hand. The helicopter pilot reached for his gun. But Jinwoo was faster. A single shot. The pilot dropped. The clearing erupted into motion as villagers secured the helicopter, tended to Amaka, and confirmed what everyone already knew. Seo-yeon was dead. The snake had been slain by the lion. And the syndicate's reign of terror was finally, truly over. Amaka collapsed. Not from injury. From exhaustion. From relief. From the weight of everything that had led to this moment. Minjae caught her as she fell. You did it, he whispered. You actually did it. Jinwoo was there too, his hand on her shoulder. Your father would be so proud. Amaka looked between them. These two extraordinary men who had given her everything, asked for nothing in return except a chance. And finally, after months of running and fighting and surviving, she made her choice. I love you. I love you both, she said softly, but I can't be with either of you, not yet. Both men froze. I need time, she continued. Time to heal, time to process, time to figure out who I am without the bullets and the blood and the constant threat of death. She touched Minjae's face. You gave me light when everything was dark. She touched Jinwoo's face. You gave me strength when I had none left. Tears slipped down her cheeks. But I need to find those things in myself now, before I can give them to anyone else. Understanding dawned in their eyes. Pain too. But also respect. How long? Minjae asked. I don't know, a year, maybe more. And then, Jinwoo's voice was rough. And then, we'll see, if you're still willing, if I'm still standing, if the universe thinks we've earned it. She stepped back. But for now I need to go home, to Lagos, to my mother, to rebuild everything that was broken. She looked at Chief Okonkwo. Will you help me? The old man smiled. Child, I would be honored. 6 months later, Amaka stood in a small clinic in Seoul. The sign above the door read, Chidubem Memorial Medical Center. Built with compensation money from the ICC. Staffed by nurses she had trained. Dedicated to her father's memory and the 37 others who had died fighting the syndicate. Her mother worked at the front desk. Her brother managed the administrative side. And Amaka healed. One patient at a time. One day at a time. The syndicate's collapse had sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. Dozens of arrests. Hundreds of convictions. Billions in seized assets returned to victims. Minjae had transformed LK Technologies into a force for good, funding hospitals, schools, and anti-corruption initiatives across Asia and Africa. Jinwoo had walked away from the criminal world entirely, last seen running a security firm that protected whistleblowers and activists. They both sent letters, flowers on her birthday, donations to her clinic. But neither had come to see her, because they had promised to give her time. And they were men of their word. On the anniversary of her father's death, Amaka visited his grave, laid fresh flowers, and whispered the words she'd been holding for so long. I did it, Papa, I found the truth, I fought the monsters, and I won. She touched the headstone. Now I just need to figure out what comes next. A voice behind her made her turn. Maybe we can figure it out together. Both men stood there. Minjae in a simple shirt and jeans, his corporate armor abandoned. Jinwoo with longer hair and softer eyes, his dangerous edge dulled by peace. We waited, Minjae said, like you asked. And we're still waiting, Jinwoo added, if you need more time. Amaka looked at them, these two souls who had changed her life in ways she was still discovering. And she realized something. She didn't have to choose. Not the way she'd thought. I loved you both for different reasons, she said slowly. Minjae, you showed me what it meant to hope, to believe in goodness even when the world was cruel. She turned to Jinwoo. And you showed me what it meant to survive, to fight even when victory seemed impossible. She took both their hands. But I think I was so focused on choosing between you that I never asked the right question. What question? Jinwoo asked. What if I didn't have to? Both men stared at her. I'm not asking for anything traditional, she said quickly. I'm not asking for marriage or conventional romance or any of the things society says I should want. She squeezed their hands. But I'm also not ready to let either of you go, not completely, so maybe we figure out what this is together, all three of us, without labels or expectations or rules. You want, Minjae started. I want to see where this goes, Amaka interrupted. I want to build my clinic, I want to heal my city, and I want both of you in my life, however that looks. Silence. Then Minjae laughed. A genuine, surprised, delighted sound. You know what, why not? I've rebuilt an empire, I can handle sharing. Jinwoo's smile was slower but no less real. I've spent my whole life fighting for things I wanted, maybe it's time I learned to share too. He looked at Minjae. Think you can handle that, Prince? Think you can, Shadow? They clasped hands. Over Amaka. A promise. A truce. A new beginning. And as the sun set over Lagos, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, 3 people who had survived impossible odds stood together. Not as enemies, not as rivals, but as something new, something unwritten, something that was theirs to define. The nurse who had saved a life and started a war, the billionaire who had destroyed his empire to build a better one, and the mafia prince who had walked away from darkness to find light. Together they walked away from the graveyard, toward a future nobody could have predicted, toward healing, toward hope, toward love, messy, complicated, unconventional but real. The kind of love worth fighting for, the kind of love worth surviving for, the kind of love worth building a new world around. And in the distance, somewhere in Seoul, a news report played. Former syndicate territories continue to collapse as international task forces move in. LK Technologies announces historic partnership with African medical initiatives. Mysterious security firm prevents third assassination attempt on key witness. The world was healing. Slowly. Imperfectly. But healing. Because 3 people had refused to run. Had refused to give up. Had refused to let the darkness win. Amaka smiled as they reached her car. So, she said, where do we start? Minjae opened the door for her. Anywhere you want. Jinwoo climbed into the back seat. As long as we start together. She laughed. Started the engine. And drove toward tomorrow. Whatever it held. Whoever they became. It would be their story. Written by them. For them. And nobody, not the syndicate, not society, not even fate itself, could take that away. The end. Or perhaps is the beginning. Please subscribe for the final episode.